Commission, INEC, before a federal high court sitting in Abuja, insisting that they must be allowed to participate in the 2023 general election. The plaintiffs who told the court that they are residents in the United Kingdom and other parts of the world are seeking an order to compel INEC to allow them to vote in the coming elections. They maintained that refusal of INEC to create room for them to participate in the elections amounts to a gross violation of their fundamental rights. The plaintiffs in suit are praying the court to stop President Muhammadu Buhari and INEC from further proceeding with the 2023 electioneering process until the voter register and buyer database are updated to accommodate them as registered voters. They want the court to declare that there is still sufficient time for INEC to comply with provisions of sections 13, 14, and 15 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. Meanwhile, Justice Inyang Ekwo has adjourned the matter till 19th of January 2023 for mention and ordered service of all the court processes on the defendants, who are INEC and its chairman, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, President Buhari, and the Federal Republic of Nigeria. With barely 79 days to the 2023 elections, President Buhari has again reiterated his readiness to hand over power to a democratically elected government at the end of his tenure in May 2023. President Buhari gave the assurance during an audience with a special envoy from the Kingdom of Morocco, who visited him at the presidential villa in Abuja. The pioneer chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Nuhu Ribadu, has withdrawn the legal battle against the All Progressives Congress APC governorship candidate in Adamawa State. Senator Aishatu Dahiru Binani Ribadu, who lost the governorship ticket to Binani, had challenged her victory before a federal high court in Adamawa State, alleging overvoting and other irregularities during the party's primary election in May. In a letter to the state chapter of APC, Ribadu said he decided not to approach the Supreme Court, despite the fact that he disagreed with the judgment of the appellate court, which reinstated Binani as the APC governorship candidate. He resolved to work towards the victory of the APC in the elections, calling on his supporters to support the party's candidate. The court had annulled the primaries and ordered Binani not to parade herself as the party's candidate for the governorship election. But the Court of Appeal sitting in Yola confirmed Binani as duly elected APC governorship candidate in Adamawa 2 weeks ago.
The APC Adamawa State Chapter received the news of the discontinuation of court case by Malam Nuhu Ribadu with happiness and joy. As a party, we respect his right for instituting the legal action after the primaries. But we feel happy and delighted by the recent action that informed his decision to discontinue any court case against the party and its candidate. The action he has taken will promote unity, understanding, and cohesion in the party. The APC in Adamawa State now is one united and happy family, ready to go into the campaigns with determination to come out victorious in the 2023 general election.
Let's take a short break, and when we return, it will be time to speak with the national chairman of the Social Democratic Party, SDP, Shehu Gabam. Stay with us.
It's always a great morning on the TVC Breakfast Show.
Thanks for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
With the array of stories that matter and what's behind them.
As you say, the first blow indicates the direction of government.
Tell us what really is going on between your union and the federal government.
Once it's generated, you don't use it, it's waste.
We are not even sure whether we have a strategy for security.
Are you saying that there was nothing wrong in that?
Was he the one driving the taxi?
Answer the question.
Refill your morning with all you need to know.
Like
yes, just mundane lyrics.
Yes.
How does that fit into your scheme of events or duties right now?
No chief of staff, no general has the right to call a governor to order. The governor has been elected by his people.
Start your day right, because this is the breakfast show that adds to your breakfast. TVC Breakfast, weekdays at 7 a.m.
Welcome back. You're still watching Politics Tonight, digging beyond the headlines. Now to our interview with the guest of the day. I am now joined by the national chairman of the Social Democratic Party, Shehu Gabam, a former chief of staff to Bauchi State Governor Issa Yuguda. He was also a vice presidential candidate of the SDP in the 2019 general election. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.
My great pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right, let's start with the campaign for the 2023 elections. How would you describe the race so far, especially with all the intrigues that have played out since the electionary campaign started?
Well, as expected, the campaign is getting hotter, it's getting too personal. People are not addressing fundamental issues that is affecting the life of Nigerians. People are attacking personalities. And we felt that the current situation that we are should deal with issues that have affected the life of Nigerians. Fundamentally, the issue of security, the issue of bad economy, poverty, debt, educational policy, collapsed healthcare sector. These are key fundamental issues that drive every country on earth. Instead of dealing with policy issues, how to rejiggle policies that have faded out, and be creative and innovative in dealing with issues, largely the political actors in the field are busy attacking one another's personality, historical backgrounds that doesn't make sense to any serious career politician. And therefore, hitting up the political space, have diverted the attention of the campaigns nationwide. But we in the SDP, I'm sure you can attest to that, our presidential candidates have been on issues on security grounds, economy, health sector, agricultural sector, educational sector, are fundamental to the future of Nigeria. And we've been on it, we are still striving in it, both at the national and at the state level. So this is a situation that is going on so far politically. More are expected because it's going to be more hotter in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
All right, so have the campaigns been more of issue-based for you?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. If you follow up the campaign of our presidential candidate, it has been issue-based campaign. Issue of creating jobs or employment, issue of very weak security apparatus that we have, lack of equipment, issue of developing the economy. But you cannot develop economy when the political environment is very chaotic. You can only develop economy when the political environment is very friendly for investors to come in, for domestic investors also to invest their money and create jobs. In an environment where people are not feeling safe, they cannot invest their money because the issue of safety is very fundamental to any political economy, or creating jobs, or inviting investors, or attracting foreign capital into your own country. Those are issue-based, those are economic issue-based that is dealing with our country today. Significantly, you cannot discuss anything without bringing in solution on how to restore law and order in our country, how to deal away with crime and criminality, banditry, how to deal away with issue of producing orphans and widows virtually on daily basis, how to deal with issues of taking away, wiping out villages and the foodstuff across the land and breadth of Nigeria. And the political assassinations that are also engulfing the country right now. So these are issues, including the issue of vote buying, which is the fundamental threat to our democracy today more than any other thing. You know, once the system is not being developed to an extent of guaranteeing the franchise of any citizen to cast his vote and his vote is going to count, the wish of the president to ensure that he leave a legacy of free and fair election in Nigeria will be a wishful thinking. All
right. Are some analysts of this opinion that your party, the SDP, is not visible enough, hence not in the contention to win major election?
I don't know those who have that opinion, but let me tell you, let me tell you this. I was part of those who formed PDP. I was part of those who formed PDP from the G7 to G18 to G34. And I've been to every part of Nigeria. And also, I know the processes of party development. So if anybody is saying that we are not visible enough, I wonder which party is more visible. Our logo is more visible, is more senior to any party logo in Nigeria. That's number one. Number two, if you take the structure of political parties in Nigeria, we have offices in all states of the Federation of Nigeria, all states of the Federation of Nigeria. INEC did verification of party offices throughout the Federation of Nigeria. Maybe you need to go and check that record. We are visible in every state of the Federation. Number three, we participated in the entire exercise. We fielded candidates from the president to the State Assembly. It is also an INEC record. We comply with the Electoral Act from the congresses of our parties, from the ward, local government, states, and the national level. We held our convention at the International Conference Center. It was covered by all the media organizations, including this prestigious TV station. And then, of course, our primaries was conducted very transparently. We have no dispute at all. And INEC have released all candidates of all political parties, including the one of SDP, and all the candidates we have submitted have gone through the processes of INEC and have scaled through. And there is no presidential candidate today that have been on media more than our presidential candidates, engaging various segments of issues that have to deal with our society. So I don't know what anybody will say about visibility, whether we are visible or we are not visible, or we are not known as PDP, as APC is claiming to be. And if you look at the history of Nigeria, APC packaged themselves together within 6 and 7 months and displaced a party that have ruled Nigeria for 60 years. So any party can win election in Nigeria because it has been experimented. If parties that have ruled for 16 years can be defeated, it means that it's a matter of collective thinking, ability to strike and deal with the issues that affect the life of Nigerians. And I can tell you we are up to date in SDP. We are capable, we are experienced, we know how to play the game decently, morally, and progressively. So I challenge anybody who will say that. Apart from that, right now, at the various assembly, at the State Assembly and the National Assembly, we have over 12 members of the SDP that are serving both at the National Assembly and the State Assembly, including the Senate. So I don't know any other party apart from PDP and APC that can claim to have that kind of spread and visibility that we have. The statistics are very there, but people are free to propagate and make all sorts of things, but reality on ground suggests that we have everything that it takes as a party to provide leadership. Our party headquarters, I challenge any party to beat the headquarters of the SDP right now in Nigeria, and I invite you to come and inspect it. We are leading by example from the way we run the party in Nigeria. we did not design SDP as a revenue generation political party. We went on credibility, morality, decency, and the background of the individuals that we fielded them as candidates. And it happens that some of them were among the ones the president have recognized in giving the national award, and they were celebrated.
All right.
So no party can challenge some of our candidates throughout the positions. No party can do that.
All right, then. But aside visibility, but you know, winning elections is about numbers. Are you saying that the SDP has the numbers to win all of the major elections next year?
I don't know what you mean by numbers. What you mean by numbers is about all the candidates to engage in massive, aggressive campaign to mobilize. For instance, if you look at our candidate in the various states of the Federation that are running for governorship, recently, if you look at our gubernatorial candidate in Rivers State, Senator Magnus Abe, he have organized a support movement that people volunteered that is over 3 million. Check Delta states, check Adamawa states, check Taraba states, check Kwara states, check virtually all the states of the Federation. Yes, by statistics, even the one released by Chief Otedopita Sides, you find out SDP comes in between 1 through 3, you know, based on the analysis that was being conducted. So if a party can package themselves within 7 months and win election, you cannot suggest in any way or manner, based on the statistics that we are talking about, that SDP is not on ground to win election. SDP is solidly on ground because what numbers means is the coordinating officers, the candidates that are campaigning on issues to win election. Because if you go by INEC of modern Nigeria of today, that are beaver-driven, the era of snatching ballot box is gone. The era of thumbprinting on the ballot box is gone for good. So those who have the followership will get their votes. It's going to be extremely difficult for riggers to rig election. Anybody who wins election in 2023, most probably, I'm not telling you it's going to be a perfect process, but I can tell you on the average, the election will be rated as free and fair, and it will be rated that votes have counted. Unlike before, in the recent election we have in Ekiti, you can see people snatching ballot boxes, thumbprinting in people's residence, and so on and so forth. So it's an old fashioned, which means every politician that is competent to win election must reach out to people that matters. Fortunately, 76% of those who will determine the president of Nigeria, the governor, senators, House of Reps, State Assembly, are youths. 40% of them are students, and 36% are also other category of youths. And therefore, the statistics are defined. Those who want to win the election have the numbers that have been generated already legitimately that owns PVCs, and therefore they can reach out to them and be prepared for election and be prepared for being declared as the winners of the election. I have not seen any ambiguity there.
Talking about youths now, how would you rate the support of the youth for your political party? You would agree with me that many still nurture this sentiment that the SDP is for older generation.
What is my? Do you know my age?
No, you tell us. I don't know your age. You tell us.
I belong to the modern generation.
All right.
That's number one. Number two, our presidential candidate is young. He's 50 years and some few months. Now, if you look at the structure of our party, largely all our candidates from the gubernatorial, senatorial, are within the range that you can define as young, proactive people. In terms of our structures in the states, almost 70% of our chairmen of party in the states are young people, including young ladies. The chairman of the party in Lagos is a very young lady. I think SDP is the only party that accommodated women more than any other one. Now, our forms have been slashed to 50% for youths. Women's forms are free. People with disability forms are at zero cost, absolutely zero cost. So we have accommodated our peculiarities as a nation. We have accommodated the feelings of those category of people that are feeling somehow they don't belong to that category, whereby they need a lot of resources to get a ticket. Like I said, we did not go into revenue generation as a party. We prepared this election as a quality election, that we presented quality people into various positions. You can do a checklist of those that are running election in our party. So anybody who is conversant with the new leadership of the SDP will never tell you that it is for the old people. Perhaps simply because people believe SDP is the second oldest party in Nigeria apart from PRP. Because Abiola run under the old SDP, and it's still the same SDP, the same logo, the same slogan. So that analysis is that it's a party for the old people. But the generational people that are driving the party today are more current than the leadership of PDP and the APC, are more current, are more dynamic, are more robust, are more engaging in terms of political issues and considerations and understanding the peculiarities of the modern Nigeria.
All right, I get that. Your presidential candidate is young, but then without prior political experience. Do you see this as an advantage or disadvantage?
Well, if you look at the political history of Nigeria, Shagari wasn't a politician. Shagari was a product of the military administration. And of course, he won the election. And nobody can dispute Shagari leadership like utilization of power. There was a utilization of power during Shagari administration. There was no part of this country that was complaining of segregation or discrimination or did not participate in the political environment. Now, during the SDP, during the military administration of President Babangida, Abiola wasn't a politician. Abiola was a businessman. But because of the content and the policy and the programs Abiola had brought on board, nobody talked about religion the way people are talking about religion in the political parties right now. Because the leaders have developed content that satisfies the curiosity of Nigerians. And Nigerians key into Abiola Kingibe tickets. Nobody said that no, Abiola was a Muslim or Kingibe was a Muslim. Nigeria was quite very peaceful, very united, because the leaders then developed policies and programs that united the country. So the reason why we went for Prince Adewale, to the best of my knowledge, he doesn't have excess baggage. Number two, he understands our political environment and the topography of the system. The challenges are quite clear to him and what to do. And given the backing of highly experienced leaders of SDP, I don't see him liking in terms of driving the process. And so far from your interface, your interactions and discussion with him, you will agree with me, have the grasp of the issues, what it takes to change Nigeria from the primitive eras or way of doing things to a progressive way of building a modern nation. So the issue of whether he is politically experienced or not suggests to the fact that those that have been in the corridors of power over the years, that are still in the corridors of power, have not shown that experience can make any difference, because they have not changed the status quo of Nigeria. They have not changed the poverty level Nigerians are going through. They have not changed the economic situation that have impoverished the country. They have not changed the weaponization of poverty of Nigeria. They have not developed the political space that will attract investment into the economy. They have not stabilized the security of the country. So which means that the issue is not about people who have political CV. It's about people who have the will, to drive a modern Nigeria with new policy, with creativity, civility, morality, and decency in leadership. Simply that what Nigeria is looking forward to. Nigeria is not looking forward to people who claim they have experience of being around the corridors of power for 30, 40 years. Nigeria is looking for leaders that are part of the global stage, global reality, to deal with modern challenges that have to deal with modernization. Nigeria is looking for a leader who understands that the demand have outweighed the supply. There is a shortage of supply. And when there is a shortage of supply, you can't run away from anarchy and insecurity and all sorts of things. That is what Nigerians are looking forward to. The percentages of Nigerians today that are suffering, that are being suffocated, are the younger generation of Nigerians who have graduated from universities, have no job doing, and they are now resorting to drugs, to crime and criminalities. Most of these heavy crimes that we are going through, if you look at the composition of the crime levels, you find out they are young people that have been indoctrinated into drugs, have been weaponized, given weapons, have gone into kidnapping, because it's easy for you to kidnap than to do armed robbery right now. If you go to somebody's house, you kidnap the person, they will say what they have to bring to you than for you to struggle to go for armed robbery, to break the house and do a lot of things. So there's a modernization of crime that required a modern leader to deal with these challenges. Just the way our security agencies have met up with the challenges to deal with modern crime and criminalities, cyber crimes and so on and so forth. When Boko Haram started, our security agencies are not conversant with the modern crimes, that really invaded our country, the Boko Haram and so on and so forth. But with training over time, with equipment, our security agencies are engaging the system with the modern techniques of handling modern crimes. So Nigeria is not looking for people that have been around government, have been associated with looting the economy of the country for decades. They are looking for a progressive-minded leaders that have the energy to drive Nigeria almost 24 hours. That's what the country is looking forward to.
All right, Mr. Gabam. You're still watching Politics Tonight. We'll take a break and be right back with this discussion. Please don't go away.
All in favor say aye. Those against no. The ayes have it.
What do you know about the legislature, its role in governance, and as one of the three arms of government? Lagos Parliament is here to bring it to you as it is. Here to bring you every detail you need to know about the legislature in Africa's most populous city. On Lagos Parliament, you get a chance to meet the lawmaker of the week. Events are critically reviewed. You can also observe plenary in Yoruba language. I am Abimbola Agbebi. Join me every Friday at 9 p.m. as I take you through the activities of the legislature.
Welcome back to Politics Tonight, and I still have as my guest tonight the National Chairman of the Social Democratic Party, Mr. Shehu Gabam. All right, your party flagged off its presidential campaign in Adamawa State. How many states have you been able to take this campaign train to, and how has the reception been so far?
Well, it wasn't a presidential flag off. It was a gubernatorial flag off in Adamawa State. All of us were there. The entire party was there. The presidential candidate was there. If you understand the dynamics of the politics of Adamawa States, where you have the presidential candidate of People's Democratic Party, PDP, and of course the governor of the state is also of PDP product, you at least expect that the crowd would not be much due to incumbency factor. But if you look at the thousands and thousands of people that came out to appreciate the gubernatorial candidate, who is endowed with a lot of political experience, He has been a key political player in the history of Nigeria. He's not a neophyte in politics. He galvanized the whole state. He mobilized the entire state from community to community, local government to local government. And the outing was very excellent. We were there very robustly. We supported him with everything. We encouraged the people. And if you look at the dynamics of the politics of Adamawa, you can see clearly that the ground have shifted. We are still expecting more to happen because there's still time for governorship election to take place. Expectedly, by our own approximation, we believe strongly that in the next few weeks, few months, the statistics will automatically change. And I believe strongly it is going to be extremely difficult for anybody to defeat SDP in Adamawa State and some at other states that we are solidly on ground. So you can also, I don't know if you have noticed our flag off in Delta states, where you have the vice presidential candidate of PDP. If you follow our activities in Delta states, you know that SDP is a major force to beat in Delta states. And then watch out for our flag off in River State. Watch out for the governorship flag off in Kwara State. Watch out for Taraba State. Watch out other states. You will understand clearly that we mean business. We are not out for any joke at all. So I can tell you that based on what I know as the national chairman of the party, I want people to underrate SDP as of today, and they will be in for a shocker. And I'm happy that even the major parties recognize the fact that SDP is a force to be reckoned with today.
All right. You once said the SDP will change the narratives of governance in Nigeria if Nigerians give your party the chance to rule. Now, what changes do you intend to bring, especially when it comes to security and the economy?
Article 1 of our Constitution talks about the protection of life and properties of Nigeria. There is an abdication of that article by the current president because Nigerians' lives and their properties are no longer safe. No president that will be elected that will not give priority to the safety of lives and properties of Nigerians. Because once safety and property of Nigeria is being compromised, forget about any development, forget about any peace, forget about any unity. Nigeria will degenerate into anarchy. People cannot be killed mercilessly and government will become helpless. As a government, you must bite to the bone and take responsibility. Every leader that cannot take responsibility should not think of being there. Presidency is not about whining and dining. It's not about tea. It's not about eating indomie. It's not about beer parlor. It's about taking serious national decisions that will affect the life of Nigerians. I want to assure you, as some of us have been in government, we understand the dynamics of leadership. Once we are privileged to be elected by Nigerians, I want to assure you within 100 days, you will see a different Nigeria. You will see decisiveness, you will see intentional operations, you will see inclusiveness, you will see developing a process of reconciling Nigerians, you will see creating environment for investors or capital flight into Nigeria, you will see dealing with major crimes and criminalities and the gangsters that are responsible for organizing crimes and criminalities in Nigeria. If you do not create a conducive environment, you forget about any other factors that will lead to the development or progress of any nation. So our fundamental responsibility as a party, if elected into office, is to restore law and order. We are not a banana republic. In the last administration recently of President Obasanjo, we have seen decisiveness in leadership, curtailing excesses of governors that have turned into imperialists, governors that will wake up and then start signing executive orders, shrinking political space, denying campaigns in the states, and then the federal government that have responsibility of law and order, that are in charge of security agency, military and paramilitary, become helpless. and then choking the entire political space, making it impossible for possibility of free and fair election. No responsible government will allow any governor to think he's above board. He cannot be content. And no responsible party, no responsible leaders of political party can allow any party leader to feel that he's indispensable. Nobody is indispensable in terms of leadership and in terms of decision making. We have seen during administration of President Obasanjo where governors were called to order, were humbled, and leadership was humbled. Not like what we are seeing today. Governors are turning into emperors. Nobody can talk to them, suffocating the state, suffocating the political environment, and being vulgarous in virtually everything they do. As if we are in the banana republic. This shouldn't happen. We have seen leadership in Nigeria, and leadership by example. So we need to take care of this. Anybody who can go into office as the governor, what that office means is humility. What that office means is for you to be sobered, because you see category of issues that deserve sympathy, that deserve attention, that deserve immediate action. Instead of uniting the country, instead of uniting the states, virtually in the large quantum, the governors are responsible for the crisis we are having today in Nigeria.
All right.
Because they cannot manage the citizens in their own state that they differed with in terms of dialect or tribe and so on and so forth. So it takes a leader who understands what it takes to provide a very decisive leadership to curtail the current situation we are in Nigeria.
All right, for a minute, let's shift our attention to the running mate of your presidential candidate, Nafisa Bolore, who is a legal practitioner from Borno State. What informed this decision?
You mean the running mate to who?
To your presidential candidate, Nafisa Bolore. What informed the decision of picking?
It's not from Borno State.
Okay.
It's from Kano State. He comes from a very famous political family of Kano State that I know personally. I know his family from his late father to his mother. I know them very well. I also know that he's a trained engineer. He's also a banker at the same time. So he has a combination of skills. He's also a very young man. You know, what we did is to bring in people that have energy, that can stay in office up to 4 or 5 a.m. dealing with national issues. That decision was intentional, that we package it together to showcase Nigerians that you have the opportunity to select young men that have excessive energy, and they are looking forward to discharging this energy positively and progressively. So he's a very young man that I know very well. It's not as if I don't know, I know him very well.
All right, so how strong is this man? When you're looking at the likes of Kashim Shettima, who is from Borno State, and other vice presidential candidates, how strong is he to go head-to-head with these other personalities?
Well, like I've told you, the statistic released by INEC suggests that 76% of those who will determine the president, to the governor, to the senator, to the House of Reps, to the State Assembly are young people. He is a young person as well. I think he has the golden opportunity to reach out to the young people that are going to determine who will be the president and the vice president of Nigeria. I think he's quite conversant with that statistics. And I also know that the state where he comes from, predominantly they are youths. The zone he comes from, Northwest Zone, are predominantly youths. So if you will catch on this opportunity, to which the PVC owners in the Northwest are young in terms of statistics, then it means he is posing a very serious challenge to those who think that the youth have no future. It's only those who have acquired wealth either rightly or wrongly. It's only those who think that they can buy votes that will have the advantage. Nigerians and the youth have the opportunity. If the youths do not look at the situation they are in, the same youth went for NSAS. The same youths are fighting for segregations. The same youths are fighting for unemployment. The same youths are seeking for conducive environment to excel, you know, to exhibit their talents. If the youth agree to sell their votes, I don't know if they will have the right to complain. Now, if the statistic of 76% will determine who will be the president of Nigeria, And then our presidential candidate fall within this category. The vice president fall within this category. None of them will claim that the party have not given them opportunity to excel. Our responsibility of the party is to give them the platform for them to excel, and we have given them that platform. Again, the leadership of the party is equally young, so we are driving it from both sides of the coins, and we are galvanizing the entire young people all over the country, both young youths and ladies as well. We have what we call SDP youth ambassadors that are working marvelously across the length and breadth of Nigeria in the universities, in the polytechnics, in the colleges of education. They are youth ambassadors. We are organizing a lot of training for youths, empowerment, different skills all over the country. And we have developed also the capacity to generate employment all over the country. You can imagine, and shamefully though, that Nigeria imports design clothes from Senegal. Look at the talents that are in Nigeria. If every governor decided to train 100,000 people per state into fashion industries, you can see the kind of manpower you are injecting in the country that have over 200 million people. If you can train young people into well-finished furniture in Nigeria, with a country with over 200 million people, you can imagine the kind of manpower you have imputed into the system, the kind of job you have created into the system. If you can train over 200, 300 people into electrical issues, plumbing issues, and so on and so forth, you will take majority of these people off the streets. And that will give you the latitude to claim that you have created employment, you have created self-employment, and it takes nothing, considering the security vote the government is taking out. You can train 300 people and give them a capital as a takeoff. You have engaged them on self-employment. You know, instead of just training them and leave them without something that they can do. If you train 1 million tailors in Nigeria, you will agree with me, every family, every day, sew clothes. So you are not at a shortfall. Rather, you are enforcing manpower into the population of Nigeria, over 200 billion. So what does it take for federal government, you know, in working with the state government, to embark on massive skill acquisition programs that will be consumed even locally, and you can export manpower. No justification for Nigeria to import locally designed fabrics from other African countries. We are the one supposed to be exporting it outside Nigeria and around the world. So it's a failure of leadership.
All right.
And since it's a failure of leadership, there's a failure of responsibility.
You have spoken severally about youths and young Nigerians, but as it looks, most of these young Nigerians are in support of the Labour Party presidential candidate, Peter Obi. Is your party not worried about this?
I don't know how you got your statistics from. I know that social media is influencing some of these statistics. I've been in party operation for years. I've been at the presidential campaign organization at the highest decision-making body. I was a Deputy Director General of Atiku Presidential Campaign. I was a Director of Contract Mobilization Operation of IPP Presidential Campaign. I was part of those who formed PDP. So I'm not ignorant of all the departments of politics that are needed to harmonize together. I know statistically, some of these opinions are being generated by social media handlers who believe that social media will vote that day. But they forgot the fact that on that day is about your thumbprint after accreditation, either by fingerprint or visual capturing. Then legally you have the right to go and cast your vote. Social media that day will not vote. What social media can do is perhaps to create a very chaotic political environment by taking side, by generating wrong statistics. I'm not bothered about that. I know propaganda. I know what propaganda is all about. APC, when they were formed, they came with a massive propaganda. Nigeria do not realize the effect of propaganda until APC won government and they discovered that virtually all they have campaigned on, they have failed on it. So propaganda have played a role. And now Nigerians have come to terms that propaganda is a major instrument that can destroy society. So we are not on propaganda issue. We are dealing with facts. We are dissecting those facts. We are releasing them to the public because we know tomorrow the same Nigerian will ask us that we make promises and we are not standing by them, just the way they are asking President Buhari of the quantum of promises that he has made, and then we are receiving excuses on a daily basis. We don't want to be part of that, otherwise posterity will not forgive us. We want to deal with facts the way they are, because Nigeria deserves a reality this time around, not propaganda, not all sort of lies and personal attacks. We are beyond that. We have crossed level of personal attack. We have to deal with the life of people. That malaria of 2,000 are killing Nigerians all over the country. Just 2,000 malaria, you can't find it in any government hospital free of charge. We should be ashamed of ourselves as a nation that such is happening in our country. You can't claim there is any referral hospital in Nigeria today. You can't claim that there's any university in Nigeria that can claim to be among the best, even in West African coast. So these are vital issues that we are talking about. We are not talking about people that are packaging issues and then generating statistics. I'm not worried about that because I'm not new in government. I've been in government. I know propaganda. I know reality. Peter Obi is somebody that I know I also respect. But what I'm urging the entire presidential candidate, they should put Nigeria first. In the absence of putting Nigeria first, we will be in for trouble, all of us. Nobody will escape. Just the way security is challenging everybody to the doorstep. It's challenging the executive, it's challenging the National Assembly, it's challenging people to their doorstep, that we need to work up. It's beyond individualism. It's about collectivity to build a nation that we can be proud of.
Let's talk about INEC's preparation for the election. How will you rate it?
I will proudly say that the INEC of today have done marvelously, excellently, uniquely, very well. The modernization of INEC is second to none. The current chairman of INEC have done something that nobody have ever imagined. I participated in other elections. We normally submit our documents manually to INEC. Today, you can submit virtually all your processes inside the comfort of your office, and you get acknowledgement to do your office. It's a very marvelous thing. The Beaver system is one of the best in the world, you know, that have taken away the possibility of voters' apathy. Otherwise, Nigeria would have witnessed the lowest voters' apathy in the history of the country. But again, given all these complimentary and compliments I've given to INEC, I want INEC to look into the complaints of Beaver system in some areas. I don't want the Beaver system to be compromised. Once it is compromised, 2023 will be completely compromised. INEC must uphold the sanctity, the decency, the credibility of the Beaver system. Anything that would disrupt the credibility of Beaver system will speak doom for this country, because the kind of attention you are getting, the agility you are getting all over the country is simply because INEC have convinced majority of Nigerians that their vote is going to count. And how will their vote going to count? Their vote is going to count through the Beaver system, through credible accreditation by finger capturing or visual capturing. And that will transmit into INEC server system. Again, the election result will be transmitted. Other process of election is manual, but the result will be transmitted directly. I think that defines credibility. That defines that the voters' apathy is likely to go low compared to recent election we had in a number of states, where you have 2.something million people and 100-something thousand people voted for governor. So you have to deal with the issue of legitimacy and so on and so forth.
All right, we're running out of time, but then our voter apathy is still a major threat to our democracy in Nigeria, which influences low turnout of votes. How do you think we can put an end to this?
It's very simple. The federal government that have the National Orientation Agency, the federal government that have the security agencies, and the president is the commander of every security deployment in the country. And then the INEC themselves that have the responsibility of sensitizing citizens to convince them that their vote is going to count. And the federal government must be neutral. The security agencies in Nigeria must understand that their service is to the Nigerian citizens, not to the government that is in power. if this component, including the political parties and the political actors, to desist from using talk to disrupt elections at the polling unit, I can assure you that Nigeria will not record lowest voters turnout, will not record voters apathy. Once the polling unit are secured for INEC to deploy election materials, for confidence to be strengthened around voters, people will come out in their thousands, in their millions across the length and breadth of Nigerians. Nigeria will record the highest voter turnout in history. But in the absence of these that I have mentioned being secured, being assured, then we are likely to record the lowest outing of voters in the history of Nigeria. Because right now, the fear is that if you go out to cast your vote, you are not likely to go back home. You are likely to be killed or to be kidnapped or to be injured. Federal government have the responsibility to secure the country, to secure the polling unit. INEC is not independent to an extent that INEC do not deploy security. They do not enforce. It is only the president that deploys security. It is only the president that is the commander of the security. So it's the president that will secure the polling unit for INEC to deploy election materials. Otherwise, INEC is incapacitated. INEC is independent when these processes are being secured. Otherwise, INEC will remain interdependent until the process has been secured before they will deploy election materials, especially now that their offices and materials are being burnt because of the laxity from the executive arm, to protect INEC offices, INEC election materials. So if this thing continues, I can assure you, it is difficult to conduct the election. These are indices that get us worried, some of us that are political drivers, that the election is not likely to hold, except if the federal government stand on its feet intentionally, deliberately, and deal with the elements that are trying to take the state down.
Finally, before we go, now poverty remains endemic in Nigeria. What steps would your party take in tackling this?
Let me give you this. Our presidential candidate said that he will create 30 million jobs. To simplify it for you, creating jobs do not really mean government job. It has to do with combination of so many things: the government job, the private job, and then the government to create a lot of environment to train people into self-employment. That is the statistics that when you calculate it, it will give you over 30 million jobs. I just giving you an example. If, for instance, Nigeria decided to create or to train 2 million plumbers all over the country, and you have a population of over 200 million people, and the population is growing on a daily basis, when you consider the population census that we are growing every day.
Thank you very much. Now, we're out of time. I've been speaking with the national chairman of the Social Democratic Party, Mr. Shehu Gabam. Thank you very much for being part
and private sector to create more jobs.
All right. Thank you very much for being a part of the program tonight. Thank you very much, Mr. Shehu Gabam.
Yeah, great pleasure. Thank you for putting me on the hot seat.
Thank you. All right, that marks the end of today's episode of Politics Tonight. But the conversation continues from here. Get in touch with us on Twitter at TVC News NG and at AlhajI using the hashtag Politics Tonight. We are also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Join us for the repeat episode at midnight and tomorrow for another edition of Politics Tonight, digging beyond the headlines. I am AlhajI Shehu. Goodbye.
Never miss a moment. Instant breaking news from all over the globe. Live streaming of your favorite programs delivered directly to you. Watch anytime from anywhere on your mobile or smart devices. Download the TVC News